it's Amanda here from Lolli Lulu Crafts, and today we're going to be making a Christmas card using this Sizzix layering stencil, and it's this gorgeous Christmas tree. So I thought that would be really fun to do. I've got a piece of Nina Solar White cardstock, and I folded that in half to make an A5 card base. I think that should be about right. And then what we've got is a number of stencils inside, obviously for each layer, and each stencil also has a sentiment on it, so you can choose which sentiment you want. But obviously what you want to do is when you're actually inking through, you want to make sure you don't accidentally ink on your sentiment as well, so you get a blob that you don't want. So each stencil is actually marked. Now I don't know if you'll be able to catch that on these cameras. You can just see there, I think, a number 1. So you start with obviously the first one. So we're going to position this about there. And then what I like to do so that I can make sure each time that I get it in the right place is just put a little pencil mark. Can you see the little circles that are these? And then each time I can line that up, and we know that we've marked our stencil correctly, or positioned our stencil correctly. So then I need a little bit of tape. So just do that. And okay, so I have worked out what colours I want, and I wrote it down because I thought I'll forget. I'm doing these all in distress oxide. So I've got candied apple, lucky clover, twisted citron, mowed lawn, and squeezed lemonade. So we're going to start off with lemonade. What's it called? Squeezed lemonade, because that's the lighter of the two colours. I've got a few little daubers. I wanted to use these smaller ones because some of the areas are quite detailed, and I don't want to accidentally go over. And I think I've only got a couple of those, so I'm trying to be careful with the colour. So we're going to start off with our lemonade. Oh, I can't think what it's called now. I keep forgetting. Squeezed lemonade. That's it. So we've got that. Now I'm going to use this one for my I'm going to use that for my twisted citron, which is my next layer, because the twisted citron's kind of a yellowy tone, so I think that will work okay. And then we can use mowed lawn and lucky clover together because they're both greens. And if we're going to start with the mowed lawn, which is the paler of the two anyway, which is for here, so we're going to do that next. And you can kind of shade these a little bit if you want. You can do some areas a little bit darker than others so that it's got a little bit like sort of around those points, or just to give it a little bit more interest. I don't know what that bit's meant to be down there, but we will colour it green. I don't know if it's meant to be green, but it is now. And it just gives a bit of interest by shading it like that. And as you can see, some of it I've done a bit darker, and I want to be just a little bit careful up there so I don't get my sentiment, but also so I don't get the little star. So I think that's good enough. Just make sure that bit's done there. Okay, so that's going to be used for the lucky clover in a minute. So we're going to put mowed lawn to one side because we finished that as well. So we've got those two out the way. So then very carefully, oh, I realise why it's moving around a little bit. I hadn't stuck the bottom down, but that's okay. This tape is not the best, I have to say. Let's very carefully pull this up. There we go. Doesn't it look lovely already? Okay, so I'm going to put this to one side. I'll worry about cleaning them afterwards because it's much easier to do that then. So then we have, just making sure it says number 2 on there. So we're going to pop that so it's lined up there with the little holes. Then I'm also making sure it's straight because I didn't mark the bottom, which was not the most sensible of me. And then we're going to just stick that down there. And this time I am going to put a little bit of tape at the bottom as well. Just put it here so it's not over the tape on the card. Okay, and this layer, according to my notes, is Twisted Citron. So we said that we would use the dauber that I used, lemon, or the star. So now we've got a sentiment across the top here, so don't sort of accidentally do that. So we're just going to put plenty of the citron on, and that will go lovely with the yellow anyway. It will really give it a nice sort of extra little sort of tonal to it, which I think is good. And it's really easy to think, oh, that's part of it, and start daubing at it. Okay, I think that is actually all of it, and you can possibly see it might be a bit harder on the camera, I don't know, but there's slight sort of lemony bits from the squeezed lemonade, and a little bit of the, obviously the Twisted Citron, quite a lot of that, and that came through quite nicely. So let's just peel this bit back. Would have been easier to do that. Okay, look at that coming along already. Doesn't that look lovely? So let's pop that in there. Now I'm trying to decide whether I want to actually add a little bit of extra yellow on there. I don't think I do, to be honest. I think I'm going to leave the star as it is. I'm just going to go up to that point there. So I think what I'm going to need to do, once I've stuck this down, is I'm going to just mask that star, because the green of the point of the tree goes right up. And in fact, I'm going to have to do it like that because it's so close. Because I don't want to act. Even if you were doing it doing the star, it's a different color. It's not going to be in the green. So you want to mask that off and then do it again. It's so close. So for this layer, I want to use Lucky Clover. So I will use this same dauber that we used for the Twisted Citron and the squeezed lemonade, because it's perfectly fine for that. And we can start down here. Oh, that's a lovely Christmas tree kind of colour, isn't it? And as you can see, because it's so dark, it really just... And now I'm going to very carefully just do this bit here. So I'm going downwards so I don't accidentally take the tape and sort of move it upwards and then get ink on the area we don't want. And again, here there's a happy holidays or something there, and I just want to be very careful not to get the end of that little H. It's not difficult, especially with these are really handy actually for this. These work really well for it. And then I just want to add a little bit of shading on here. I think that looks good. Looking good. And it's such a quick way of doing cards, and because you're just literally doing these layering. I'm going to take this tape off here because I don't need that now, and I don't want to accidentally forget that it's there. And I'm going to grab this and that'll help me lift it up. Oh, it's looking good. Whoops, make sure that stays in place. Okay. So you can see just all the ink on that, and that will wash off. I literally just take it to the sink and wash it off. Isn't that looking nice? Liking. I likey. Right, so now we want to put this one on. Okay, so now this is the red, so I'm going to start with a new fresh dauber for that one. So for this one we want, I've lost it, there it is, Candied Apple. And you could just do the berries in the Candied Apple and then like a brownier colour for the stalks. But I think going over that dark green, we should be all right with this red. Let's just test it and see. I think, yeah, it's making it kind of a, if we do it carefully over that, it's not going reddy red, it's just going kind of, the green and the red together is making that kind of, so I'm just tapping that lightly so that I don't get too much red on there. That's not going through at all. There we go. And again, we just want to be careful of that sentiment. Okay, and now we can really go for it with these berries. So I'm going to go over that like so. And I want some areas just a little bit darker than others, just to give a bit of shading to the berries. I suddenly thought, was there any stars there? But no, we're all right. So I'm just putting like a little bit extras of dark, bit extra ink. Gosh, I can't even speak today. On some of the edge parts of the berries, just to add a bit of shading. I just think that looks nice when you take it off. It actually is more obvious. So start off with a slightly lighter look and then just go in round one part of it. It's quite subtle. So there we go. And that is the final layer. However, I do want to put my Merry Christmas on, and I thought I'd go across the top with that. So we need to carefully position that in a minute. But oh, I did it again. It's so much easier to put it off. Oh my goodness. You're going to like it. I think you're going to like it. Whoopsie. Maybe moved. Doesn't that look gorgeous? Wow. Comes out so well. Okay, so now we want to be quite careful, make sure there's no ink on the back part of that. And I want to put I'm going to actually erase those parts first. If I go in, make sure that's all good. There we go. So you could have lifted that up a bit further and put the sentiment at the bottom. You could, I think they did it down the side there. Personally, not my favourite down the side, but that's just me. I don't like it kind of like that, but you know, whatever takes your fancy. Okay, I think that looks about there. Looks about central. Okay, so then we get our little dauber here, and I think red, don't you? Yeah, let's go red. I think that's it. Oops. Okay, and then I want to very carefully peel this off here. Oh. So let's just take this tape off the bottom now. Make sure my fingers aren't inky because we don't want to accidentally put ink on the bottom of the card or on the card. And I did this straight onto the surface of the card. That is it. So that is my card for today. There's nothing on the inside. We're going completely simple. We're just going to have it exactly as it is today. And if you wanted to, you could obviously add some glitter to it. You could add some sparkle to it, but I'm going to leave it just simple and clean, just using the stencils and as they are. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, do please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And otherwise, I will see you again soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.